be absent tonight. So we don't-
It's 6 o'clock, April 13th, 2010, and this meeting of Yountville Zoning and Design Review Board is called to order. I will note that Board Member Wennerberg is absent, and all others are here, and I will ask for unanimous consent to adopt the agenda. Hearing.
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any comments or corrections on the minutes of February 9th, 2010?
I thought they looked great, and I'll move to approve them as submitted.
I'll second.
Unanimous consent, hearing no objection, they are approved as presented. Oh, I'm sorry. No. I don't think. Public comment. Are there any members from the audience who'd like to address the board on a topic not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we will move along to presentation and discussion, update on the Yountville Art Walk program. There are no consent items.
Good evening, members of the Zoning Design Review Board and staff. It's a different opportunity to present to you some information about sounds programming from another citizen body. So tonight I'd like to talk to you a little bit about a program that's in its infancy, which is the Yountville Art Walk program. The nascent Yountville Arts Committee, which is a subcommittee of the relatively new Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission, has been working on elements of how do we incorporate the arts, both the visual, performing, and other media more into the fabric and life as it works to improve the quality of life in our community. And as you know, Yountville has a reputation for already having a strong and involved arts, and really the question here, how does we take it to a next level? There's two programs that the Arts Committee is working on, one of which you may have participated in or seen, which is the new gallery at the community center concept, where we now are showcasing on a rotating basis 4 different shows, primarily focusing local artists. Some will be emerging artists, some will be students, some will be our professional artists, but that we have created wall space in the new community center complex and remodeled community hall in the lobby areas where local art is available to be seen. And in addition, we're also able to support some of the artists by making it available for sale, although that's not the primary intent, but it is something that if somebody finds it of interest, and more importantly, the commission that might be earned on such a sale comes back into our designated art fund to help with some future art initiatives. As with any young initiative, we have lots of ideas and lots of interest, and we also need to remember that we're working very slowly in baby steps. But the other program that we're here to talk a little bit more about today is the Yountville Art Walk program. This program was approved by the council, and the program element and feature is to create a venue for the public display of outdoor sculpture work, principally from Veterans Memorial Park in the south all the way to Yountville Community Park in the north, by a vehicle of placing both on public property and private property public sculpture art. And we've been working with several local artists and found that there was some interest in this. So we started slowly. We were approached and worked with internationally renowned Napa Valley artist Gordon Huther. Gordon was excited about the opportunity to work with our program, and Gordon has agreed to loan the program 4 of his pieces on a 1-year basis to help start the program. The council's accepted this donation, and it's launched a program. I'm not going to go into all the program details because you have the handout from how the council has incorporated that. But what I want to do share with you is a little bit of both the vision that the council has and a little bit about how we see the role of the Arts Committee and what we're currently doing. The idea was to create that visual connection, if you will, from one end of town to the other. And the belief was that it would give people something else to do while they're here in Yountville. We are, it just adds another attraction, something to go do, and gets people out walking. And we're fortunate that we have artists that are interested in having their work on display. Some of you may be familiar with Maisonnerie. Not too long ago, this body helped to approve the working conditions, and they are also placing as part of their business, but they came with us for some permission, and they're focusing on some sculpture. So where we're headed with this is the initial public-private partnership includes 2 public spaces and 2 private property spaces. There is one space at the community center which was designed to support future art, and many of you may have thought we had this great alien spaceship landing or a launch pad for folks on skateboards in the Bardesano Pocket Path, but that was also designed to support future sculpture. So those will be the 2 public property spaces, and then the initial private property locations are the grassy knoll on the Villaggio at the intersection of Washington and Mulberry, and a smaller spot that goes in a garden location on Washington in the Petit Logis property. So these will be the 4 initial properties. The current commission members are also working, and they're developing a scale outline of future sites that are supportable of future public art. So what we're doing is creating a catalog, and then we're also going to work with the property owners to see who's interested. We're also going to work with local artists to see who's interested and see then if we can create a little marriage of the interest and work on. We do have several other artists that have expressed an interest. Local Valley artist Jack Chandler, who also does a more organic landscape type of sculpture, has expressed interest. So we believe we've got a very unique amenity which we're going to be able to add to our community for a relatively modest investment that's going to start and have some legs fairly quickly. And then over several years it may evolve to where it becomes more of a competitive selection process, but initially our focus is trying to create something that's going to create a sense of pride, but again, a celebration of the arts and something to do. So that's a little bit about where we're headed with the program, and I'd certainly be happy to take any questions that you might have about the program and the structure we're looking at.
Liability?
That's actually a very good question, and one of the things that we require is a formal artist participation program, and we also require a formal property owner participation program. And I have been able to develop a program with our coverage so that the town is able to provide liability coverage for the pieces, because that was one of the key elements that some of the private property owners were concerned about, in terms of this. So that is something, and we also have to catalog all of the art and do everything in order to provide coverage. But that has been resolved. I also have to be careful. I'm not going to necessarily go out and place several million-dollar pieces. But the point being is we can work with our artists. I will also point out we're also in some discussions with UC Davis's art program as well. They have a sculpture program, and as we move in, that may be another area for how to provide some different diversity and recognize artists at different stages of their career. So it's really a very nascent program with a lot of excitement, and I think as with many public art programs, some people are going to say, wow, that's really great, and somebody's going to say, who picked that out? But that's all part of the experience of art, and whether it's visual, performing, or outdoor sculpture.
Steve, I have a question about the next door to the Bardesano property, the platform, the 3 there are 3 steps and then that large platform. How are we going to, keep people from walking up those steps and touching the sculptures there and in front? I hope it's going to be roped off or anything.
Actually, we're very careful. We're not going to be doing that because in experience, roping off actually entices more people to go do. What we conversely do is we focus on art that can actually embrace that situation. So you will find art there that is not necessarily of a fragile. You'll find that it will, you'll be encouraged to go up and touch it and experience it as opposed to not. And that is something we are very cognizant of. This is not a fragile gallery because, when we're putting stuff in the public right-of-way, in the private right-of-way, adjacent to sidewalks, there is we use the term an attractive nuisance. So we also want to make sure that the environment is safe. But you'll find, robust pieces that are not likely to topple over and things like that. But it is designed rather than, so you're going to see the piece that's actually going on the Bardesano is a very large, colorful, very vibrant, organic metal structure. And, young or old touching and playing with it, it's not going to do much damage to it. Any other questions or thoughts?
Just one thought that just came to me. Has there been any thought given to interpretation of the pieces? I think that the placement throughout the town's a great idea, and I'm really excited about it. Is there a program in place to interpret those pieces?
I'm going to give you 2 answers to that. One of which is, yes, there is a requirement that the artist works with us on a bio and an explanation of the piece that will be in a yet-to-be-determined media and placement that goes next to it. And what we're struggling right now, since it's brand new, is what will that look like consistently going forward? For the first 4 pieces, the artist comes up with something, but we are going to want some uniformity. The program also requires that there will be an artist meet and greet reception, and that's a responsibility of the Arts Committee. So that's also an opportunity for the community to come meet with the artists and learn a bit about that. And as we grow, and this is the part that's not quite so formal, one of the anticipations is that if we get to a level of 18 to, say, 20, 22 pieces, we could actually start having structured docent tours and some volunteers that actually provide some broader tours, brochure that's anticipated to be developed about the artwork, pictures of the art, and some of those types of things. So that's certainly a component that we are looking forward to, but there needs to be a certain density of sculpture for that to be viable.
Steve, is it the Arts Committee's responsibility to approve or not approve any proposed piece of art? Who's the control over an artist's proposal?
Well, what I would say is the answer is the Arts Committee reviews the screening and selection. The ultimate control rests with the town manager. Okay. The way the program's adopted by council policy.
I support the program.
Pardon?
I support the
thank you.
program.
And I think we look forward to bringing you more periodic updates as we get some additional art. And probably in hindsight, we probably should have brought you this exciting news a bit earlier. So as we work with the Arts Committee, it's again, I think it's going to be a really exciting program and one that's going to add another dimension to our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. I think we can move on to our public hearing for the Sorrento project.
The item before you is sign review for a mural at the Sorrento project, and it would be on Building A, which is the north-situated building of the 2 buildings on that site. The applicant presented a conceptual mural to the ZDRB back in July of '09, and at that time, the applicant was seeking feedback on a conceptual mural before deciding whether to proceed with a final design, and that's the final design is before you tonight. That conceptual mural was a landscape theme, but it was presented on 2 30-square-foot 10 panels that would be located above and below the sign in the north elevation. And that sign was a 15-square-foot sign painted also on the metal tin and affixed to the building. And what it created was a three-panel effect of a single image and sign. And the board expressed concern with that layout. One, that it wasn't painted directly to the building, which is more typical of a mural. And two, given the fact that it was situated above and below the sign and that it was painted on metal like the sign, it created a rather large sign. And if it had been counted toward the site's signage allotment, it would have exceeded that amount. So what you have before you is a redesign, and it is a single panel mural that would be painted directly on the building elevation above the sign on that elevation, and it is proposed as a 45 square foot mural in neutral earth tones shown as brown, tans, mustards, and creams on the illustration in your packet. Since receiving its approval for the original sign package, the applicant came back to staff and requested a modification to that sign. Staff approved it under a notice of pending action. It reduces the sign size from 15 square feet to 5 square feet, and instead of the metal sign, it is individual letters affixed to a background and backlit with LEDs. So before you tonight for decision is the applicant's request for the 45 square foot mural on Building A, and in staff's opinion, it contributes positively to the town's image and the retail district, and we're supportive of the mural. And the applicant is here.
Any questions of staff? We'd love to hear from the applicant, I'm sure.
There is a board here to look at too. Pass around.
Thank
Kind of give you a bit more of a detailed depiction of the mural anticipated on the building. The image itself was more so, I think, one, we felt it enhanced the quality of the authenticity of the architecture, in addition to looking to express some of the artistic elements of what we're trying to bring into the retail aspect of the space. Being that we're going to be highlighting a lot of local Napa Valley artists, we had sought out a local Yountville artist to do the mural on the side of the building. The image itself was created by a very well-known scratchboard artist that actually did the George Washington on the dollar bill. The request to him was more so to depict a very somewhat romanticized image of the valley as a whole, bringing that we feel like we could bring a sense of richness and quality to the town of Yountville through this image. The image itself is fairly elegant in its approach. I think we're hoping to utilize some of the qualities and the color of the building itself to be the background and the base of the mural itself, and then adding only a few different colors to highlight the aspects of the image. And the mock-up that you have there highlights white, a little bit of a muted gold, and then slight percentage of blue to tie into kind of the sky element. But otherwise, we felt we came to the table with a pretty elegant image that we hope that you feel the same way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions?
I note that in this rendering, there's the sun, and it doesn't seem to be on the either on that photo, on that
on the mock-up as much. I would say that in black and white, it's probably more enhanced. It won't be as expressive on the mural. I think more what you see on the mock-up of the digital mock-up there is going to be more an expression of what the actual image is going to look like.
I like it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion required?
I don't think so. It looks nice.
Is there a motion?
I so move.
Second. To approve this sign review criteria and the mural.
There's no public comment? Did we call for any
No, I
public
skipped
comment?
right over that, didn't I? I'm a bit tired. Would anyone else like to speak on this before we move along? I'm sorry. Long day. Seeing none, we will ask for another motion. Okay, I will second your motion, Renata. All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? No. Carry forward. Thanks. Staff and board reports. Anything to share,
Well, we
Sandra?
have a few terms that are expiring on June 19th of this year, and it's Matt Lamborn, Renata Holliday, and Marita Dornbecker. And we have already heard from Matt. You don't seek to reapply. But Marita and Renata, we would ask that you consider that, and if you would like to, we'll keep you informed of the deadlines.
When do you need to know?
We'll probably be advertising that shortly since the term expires in June.
Hi, Bob.
Hi. So as you were saying, we'll be advertising for that. Sorry to see Matt go. And we're going to, you had a question about the beginning of your term. We're going to look into that. See.
Yeah, I started in November, so I don't.
And we're trying to remember if you were appointed or took over.
I was appointed. I didn't take over an existing
Okay.
seat already.
Yeah. I'll check why your expiration is coming up. Maybe
Thank
that
you.
crisscrossed or something.
Might be.
Oh, when you,
The council appointed, yes, but I think it was to finish Jason's.
No, Jason was on the,
yeah. The last two that went off were John Stitt and Jared Denton.
maybe Jared Denton. But,
I think it was John Stewart.
no, John was still on,
Rob was John's replacement.
yeah, Rob was John.
Was it Henderson?
That's
Mm.
quite a while ago.
John
Yeah, I
replaced
think John took
Steve.
over. Steve. But we'll have a look at that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
One way or the other, I already indicated my desire to continue.
And I'd like to know by what date you need a response. 2 days, 12 hours?
No, it's not that quick. I'll let you know. I'll send you an email tomorrow, but I don't think it's like this week even. We don't know. On other fronts, some other projects that look like they may be shaping up, and one has to do with it's a concept review that will most likely come before, first council, and then eventually, should they continue, it'll be before the ZDRB. And it's a kind of a not totally formed up project yet, but they have submitted some material to us for their concept review, and it deals with this property that is just north of Edward James Courtyard and in between where the real estate office is. That it's a residential site right now. So it would be a request to amend the zoning and the general plan designation for that site. Residential scale commercial ends right at Edward James, and then the two properties at the corner are in the Old Town Historic. That would include the real estate office, that's a retained use, and this property I'm referring to. We would be recommending that the extension of the commercial, if that's the request, encompass the to the corner as well, since that's already a commercial use. They would be looking at a redevelopment of that entire site, keeping nothing. They're looking at some alternatives for treating the parking access on the rear of the lot that would include perhaps coming through the parking lot of Edward James. And they would it'd be somewhat of a small commercial development on the site. The site's not very big, but the concept that they are looking at right now is somewhat similar to Summerston, and that it would be a wine tasting component and then some other retail, and we would be discussing with them perhaps larger retail component in that site. Specifics are yet to come, but that's the general concept. So that's what's happening. About the only thing we can really say for sure right now.
Any building permit applications for Vineyard Oaks?
No. We're still looking at improvement plans there, and they would be putting in improvements first or bonding for them, and then proceeding from that point. At most, they would, I haven't heard any more than their tentative plan would, if at all, to build a model home, but they're not even firm on that.
Are there any plans for Vida, the restaurant?
Yes, they are going to, well, it keeps getting slipped back a little bit, but their foundation plan has been approved, and they'll be moving ahead with a foundation first and then coming in after that. Once it starts, it's going to, I think, go quick, but it's the starting that's the problem right now, and getting going.
Thank you.
Trails happening. There's
That's right.
tomorrow there's a ribbon cutting ceremony. That's what it is. So that's kind of exciting.
That's great.
I wanted to touch briefly on and commend the board with respect to the new Bartizano sign. We talked about it on several occasions, and I think it turned out very nicely. There's plenty of visibility from the Y for vehicular traffic, and I think the elevation is just right. It's not taller than the vines behind it. I think it fits really well, and the board did a good job on guiding that application to
I
a
agree.
good place.
One other item, the Verissimo tasting room that's at Washington Square. It's, I guess yesterday was their last day of operation, so they tell me. And they have been replaced by
Bovinia.
Another wine tasting.
Cow-themed?
It's they've taken over the Verissimo's use permit exactly. They'll be operating per that use permit and the conditions. So that you'll see a new name there.
French.
What about Sally Gordon? Is that project moving?
Been into some discussions, have been for some time, and a couple of ideas have come to us, and it looks like they are perhaps going to move ahead with a restaurant concept, but we don't have an application yet, so it's difficult to discuss it.
Anything else?
Well, just on that note about the Bartizano sign, has there been any feedback from the owner? I mean, are the property owners happy with how it looks too? Do we know? I don't think they were happy with our decision last time, but with the outcome, are they happy?
As far as I know, I haven't really talked to Phil Sherburne about it. I'm happy. Yep.
Well, good.
They seem
Thank you.
to, it seems to be working for them, and more identification at the corner there at the Y.
Good.
So I think it's working for them. That's about all I have. If you can think of any other.
Well then, shall we adjourn?
World's shortest meeting?
I will ask for unanimous consent to adjourn.
So
No
Make
objection?
it so.